You're listening to School Counseling Simplified, a podcast with easy-to-implement strategies for busy school counselors. Here's your host, Rachel Davis from Bright Futures Counseling.
Do you ever have a kiddo pop into your office last minute and you need an activity to do quickly? Or do you ever wish you had access to hundreds of school counseling resources at your fingertips? Well, my Impact School Counselor membership is for you. Inside Impact, you get access to hundreds of resources sorted by topic, tier, season, or monthly lesson plans. Simply log on, find what you need, download it, and use it with your students right away. You also get access to our community where you can meet like-minded school counselors to troubleshoot tough cases, get inspired, and collaborate with your colleagues. Not only that, we also know how important it is to stay on top of your professional development. That's why we offer live quarterly trainings on hot topics that you need most. Impact is designed to make your counseling life easier. I know you're super busy. That's why I've made it super simple to access everything you need in one place. This way you can spend your time and energy doing what you love the most, helping kiddos. If you're looking for a one-stop shop for all of your counseling needs so you don't have to worry about searching on different sites, paying for things here and there, you can find everything you need on demand in one place in Impact. Head over to stressfreeschoolcounseling.com/impact to watch a sneak peek video behind the scenes of what all is included in the membership. Again, that's stressfreeschoolcounseling.com/impact to get started today. I can't wait to help you make an impact. Hey there, thanks for listening to another episode of School Counseling Simplified. So in today's episode, I want to talk to you all about conflict resolution and how you can teach this to your kiddos. So as you know, in February, it's Valentine's Day, and I've been kind of focusing on themes that have to do with love and friendship this month. So we started off this month with healthy versus unhealthy relationships, an episode on how you can do that. Then last week we had our awesome interview and we talked all about kindness. So today I want to talk to you about conflict resolution. Now, I love teaching conflict resolution strategies to kids because they're bound to have conflicts, right? So if we can teach this to them preventatively, the next time they have a conflict on the playground, at class, outside of school, whatever, they'll know what to do. Or you can use this as like a mediation tactic. So, if you're on the playground at duty or something and you see some kids are having a conflict, you can jump in with some skills and some language that you can model for them to use. And you can use this in a restorative way to repair things. If there's already been a conflict on the individual level, you can work on this with them to figure out a better strategy they could use next time. Okay, so I'm going to give you some ideas for all three tiers. So let's start with tier 1. That's your class lesson level, right? So I love to teach I statements. Super simple. Go in all the classrooms and teach the kids I statements. So I like to use the, formula, fill in the blank, write it on the board so they can see the visual and practice it. So it would say something like, I feel blank when you blank because blank. Now you can stop there, but I love to add, next time please blank. So let me give you an example. I feel sad when you ignore me because it hurts my feelings. Next time, please talk to me. Something like that. No, I'm not saying it always works. Maybe that person doesn't want to talk to you. But at least the kids are learning how to express themselves. Now, something I love to do when I teach I statements is I like to remind them that it's an I statement, not a you statement. So an I statement means that you're telling them how you feel instead of kind of pointing the finger at them and blaming them. So let's rephrase that and feel how it sounds differently. So another way you could say that same sentence would be, you ignored me and you made me feel sad. You need to listen to me. Whoa, the person who's getting accused there or getting talked to is going to feel really defensive, and this is going to start a conflict. So by using that I language instead of the you language, it becomes less of an accusation and more of like a here's how I'm feeling, let's problem solve and move forward. So I love to point that out. Now I have, I'll link to you guys in the show notes, I have a group, it's for older kiddos, but it talks about I statements. We have like one comic book strip. It might even be a freebie. I'll have to check. I'll link to it in the show notes. But it's a cool comparison of the I versus you statements. Okay, so I love doing that. Just, model it, have the prompt up there with the blanks that they can fill in, and then have the kids practice it in the class lesson level. It's so fun to get like some scenarios going. So have some different scenario cards in a bucket. They come up and choose one. They have to act it out and practice using I statements. So you could break the class up into like 5 groups and have each group have a different card, and they have to act out using I statements, because the best way to learn them is to practice it, right? So that way, when they need it in real life, then they can do it. And then you as the counselor, can provide that language for kiddos throughout school. So if you're on, lunch duty, recess duty, pickup, drop off, bus duty, hallway, whatever, you can kind of model and remind students of how to use their I statements. You could also hang up I statement posters like throughout the school in the hallways or in multipurpose rooms, common areas, places where they could see them, or you could even distribute them to teachers so they could hang them in the classroom. This school-wide approach gets everyone on board, everyone using that same common language to prevent and resolve conflicts. Okay, so that's my recommendations for Tier 1 class lesson level. Let's talk about Tier 2. I love doing a conflict resolution small group. So those kiddos who are constantly having conflicts, they would be a good fit for this group. One thing I've always loved is Kelso's Choices. So Kelso's Choices is a curriculum. It's got that little frog. It's super cute. I've used it before, but Kelso has a wheel of choices that are like cool off, walk away, try again the next day. They're different conflict resolution strategies. Now, there's a video on YouTube to the tune of Ice Ice Baby, and it's like a rap, and it's all about Kelso's Choices, and it's like, it's your choice, baby. I don't know, it's cute. I used to use that. It's fun, so I'll link to that in the show notes as well. But if your school has Kelso's Choices, or you can get it, or they may have some free stuff on their website as well, I'm not sure. But if anything, you can play that video and show the kids the wheel of choices. And that's a really good place to get started by helping them identify some different things they can do the next time they have a conflict. So you could, ask them, which of these would work for you? Which of these won't work for you? Which of these have you tried before? Which of these have you not tried but want to try? That's always a good follow-up conversation discussion to have in a small group after you introduce Kelso's Choices or that wheel of choices. Now, that's talking about resolving current conflicts, right? Like what to do, how to deal with a conflict. But what about preventing conflicts? So in small groups, I also like to identify conflict starters. So have the kids try to think about the last conflict that they had and how it started and how it can be prevented. So maybe if you blame someone of something, or if you leave someone out, or if you ignore someone, or if you spread a rumor about someone, all of these things could create a conflict. So by not doing these behaviors and identifying these conflict starters, we can prevent the conflicts from even happening. So I love to teach a small group 2 things: how to prevent the conflicts and what to do if they are in a conflict. Now, in terms of preventing the conflicts, you could do this at the class lesson level as well. But the beautiful thing about the small group is you can really take it to that individual level where they can share with each other. So, they can share about the last conflict they had, and the group can help them identify what the start point was for that conflict. Okay, so I have a small group I'm going to link to in the show notes for you guys called Pirates vs. Peacekeepers. It's all about conflict resolution, and I like to use the visual of like a pirate versus a peacekeeper, and the pirate being someone who has a lot of conflicts, and the peacekeeper being someone who does not have a lot of conflicts. So we like to talk about the qualities of the two of those, the qualities of a person who starts conflicts versus the qualities of someone who prevents a conflict. So that's kind of a fun comparison or sorting activity you could do as well. Okay, we're going right through these. I love this topic. Lastly, we're talking about Tier 3. That's the individual level. Now, at the individual level, I have a fun board game I like to use called Pause It and Resolve It. Again, I'll link to that in the show notes. And by the way, the ones I'm linking to are all in my TPT store, but if you are an Impact member, you have access to all of these resources. So Impact members get unlimited access to all of my resources for one flat monthly rate instead of buying things a la carte. So if you're interested in that, you can go to stressfreeschoolcounseling.com/impact to find out more. It's amazing. Plus there's all other kinds of like community and PD benefits as well. But if you are interested in resources, you definitely want to check out Impact. But at the individual level, like I said, Pause It and Resolve It is the name of a board game I have, and I named it that because of an analogy with like a remote control. So this is something you could teach your kiddos. You could have them make remote controls, as like a craft at the individual level, and then they can pause it and resolve it. So whenever they, have a conflict, they can pause, think about their choice options. That's where you could introduce Kelso's choices or something similar. Think about options for responding, and then choose how they're going to resolve the conflict. But I love that pause piece. It's like stop and reflect, stop and think, and then make a choice of how you're going to move forward and resolve the conflict. So pause it and resolve it. That was just like a fun thing I came up with. I love the analogy of a remote control. So like I said, you could do a craft or a coloring sheet, or you could bring in a real remote control with like the batteries out, and they could actually push the pause button as they talk about their conflicts. That could be fun. Again, at the individual level, you can do more unique things like this. You can just bring in one remote control instead of a group where you have to bring in like 8, or a class where you're bringing in 30. That's not really realistic. But at the individual level, you can do these fun, memorable, tactile experiences so the kids really resonate with the concept that you're teaching. Okay, awesome, guys. I hope you found that super duper helpful. Like I said, this month we focused on healthy versus unhealthy relationships, kindness, and conflict resolution. So I hope you're able to use some of these activities with your kiddos today. All right, I'll talk to you next week.
Thanks for listening to School Counseling Simplified. You can find the links from today's episode in the show notes. If you'd like to connect with Rachel, she's on Instagram and Teachers Pay Teachers at Bright Futures Counseling. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss any episodes of School Counseling Simplified. Talk to you next week.